Thanks for clicking. First-time homebuyers are the ones hurting the most amid rising interest rates. This according to Toronto real estate broker Nazma Ali.
Say that one more time.
Indeed, but regardless of who is hurting the most from the rise in interest rates, as Nazma Ali alluded to, some are starting to question the extent to which interest rate hikes, which are meant to cool down Canada's economy, have unduly affected the purchasing power of first-time homebuyers, and as such, is it time to revisit the stress test? Meaning, is it time to loosen mortgage qualification standards? While the Office of the Superintendent for Financial Institutions has thus far resisted those calls for changes to the stress test, calls for changes to these qualifying standards will no doubt continue as Canada's real estate market continues to plunge. So what I want to do today is briefly go over the assertion that Canada's first-time homebuyers have been hurt the most by the rise in interest rates. Then I want to take a look at what would happen if we did remove the stress test to the buying power of first-time homebuyers, and then take a look at what to look for next. The Canadian Real Estate Association, the CREA, is set to release nationwide data for the month of August on Canada's real estate market, and we'll obviously have updates out on that data on this channel. If you want to get those updates, make sure you click like and subscribe, but for now, let's take a look at these first-time homebuyers. So, have the increase in interest rates actually hurt Canada's first-time homebuyers? Canada's average real estate price hit its peak of $816,720 in February. At that time, we had to qualify at 5.25%, and if we use minimum down payment requirements, the minimum requirements for an insured mortgage, we see that the minimum income needed at that time to purchase that average house was $170,000. However, due in large part to interest rate increases, Canada's average home price is now $629,000. If we use the same requirements as before, but we qualify with a 6.44% qualifying interest rate, 2 points above a decent 5-year fixed rate as of right now, we see the minimum amount of income needed is $150,000. So for first-time homebuyers, they now have to make $20,000 less than they did before the rate hikes. They now need almost $20,000 less down payment than they did before the rate hikes. So, as for the argument that these rate hikes have hurt first-time homebuyers the most, I just don't see it.
I don't remember asking you.
But let's see what happens if we remove the stress test from the equation, as advocated by the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. Let's remove that 2% above the contract rate and just qualify at today's 4.44%. If we take that $150,000 in required income that bought that home for $630,000 and we remove the stress test requirements, that $150,000 in income now buys a home worth $790,000, $160,000 more than it does right now with the stress test. If we remove that stress test, home buyers won't save any more money on the cost of borrowing, they'll just have more buying power. More means with which they can bid up the price of Canada's housing market in much the same way that they could in February.
Not at all what I intended.
This will all obviously vary by area, and first-time homebuyers are going to do better. They're going to find homes more affordable in those areas which have seen their prices drop the most, like Toronto. So, to summarize, first-time homebuyers have actually seen their buying power increase with the increase in interest rates. Depending on the area, but on average, they do have an increase in buying power to get that average home. On the flip side, if we were to remove that stress test, these same first-time homebuyers, those who can now afford the average home in Canada, would see their buying power increase by $160,000. In fact, they would have very much the same buying power that they had at the height of Canada's real estate boom, were the stress test to be removed.
Why would I want that?
But the removal of the stress test isn't going to be happening anytime soon. Peter Routledge, the head of OSFI, recently said, "Let me reassure those of you who oppose a loosening of underwriting standards that OSFI will not do that." So OSFI will not be changing mortgage qualifying standards anytime soon, but I think it's important as interest rates continue to rise and as we see more and more calls to remove the stress test in the wake of these rising interest rates, that we question the assertions that are being made. Do these rising rates really hurt the affordability of first-time homebuyers? And if we do remove the stress test, if we do remove some of these safeguards in the financial system, what can we expect that to do to the market? I think if you talk to many first-time home buyers who were in the market in January, and you talk to those same home buyers now, when they can now have finance conditions, when they can have home inspections, when they can have appraisals, and when they can actually have a hope of getting their offers accepted, and they need $20,000 less in income to buy the same house, I don't think they would prefer to go back to January.
They might. They just might.
With that said, whether or not OSFI will continue to hold the line on mortgage qualification standards as the market continues to plunge remains to be seen. We'll obviously have updates out on OSFI, on the stress test, and on Canada's real estate market on this channel. If you want to get those updates, make sure you click like and subscribe. But for now, thanks so much for watching.